it was two different universes after 12. Before 12, I considered myself a very rich kid, mentally protected, and everything that kind of went with that. But after 12, that's when life became something else. What happened this particular day, I was asked to go get some Kool-Aid from the store.
Hmm.
And a guy that I knew from the neighborhood, he called me over, and I went because he was a familiar face. But once I went over there, I saw that he was a familiar stranger. Threw me on the ground, and he took advantage of my smallness, my innocence, and he took something very valuable from me. Always said that I, not in a homosexual way, always said that I got pushed on the grass as a little girl and I stood up a man, meaning I needed to be as toxic masculine as I possibly could, because those were the images of fear, respect, no nonsense that I seen myself. I needed to be them. I felt like if anyone saw the blood in the water, I would be shark bait yet again. I did 28 years in prison behind me being thrown on that grass. Not because I revenged what transpired that night. I just went out and became the hurt that I was.
Why don't we start off by allowing you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're from, a little bit about your background?
Hey, my name is Bleu Ink Watkins. That's Bleu. My birth name was April Adkins, and then I became a moniker when we'll go further into that. But I became a moniker, and when I dismissed that one, and I no longer gave that moniker ownership of the person who I was,
Mhm.
I came up with the name Bleu Ink, um, and I make the blue Bleu instead of the blue like the gang member
Mhm.
type of thing. And the ink is because I'm a writer. So I just became
Oh,
who I know I really am, which is a writer.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I gave
Uh,
myself permission.
I was actually curious about the blue ink, because being that I got the prison background, I thought you were maybe a tattoo artist or something like that. So,
I'm a
okay.
poet. I've written plays. I'm in the middle of writing my second play right now, which is a one woman show that I'll be performing.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've Yeah, I write. I write. I write curriculums. I write just anything. That's my heartbeat. My writing.
That's right. We'll have to shout out some of your work at the end of this so that people can
Right.
check that out. I'm curious though, were you named after that strong girl in LA back in the days that was doing all the lifting and everything? I think that's what her name was, April Adkins. Is that
Oh, I didn't
something?
know that.
It's yeah, she was like 9 years old lifting grown men. Her name was
Oh,
April
heck.
Adkins. Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I gotta research that. No, I was named after a Billie Holiday song called April in
Oh.
Paris.
Oh, okay.
Um, and one of the reasons I felt like it was okay for me to change my name, when I was in prison, I sent out for my birth certificate and there
Hmm.
was no name on there. So,
Oh,
and my last name Atkins is my mother's married name.
okay.
The last name that I took on now, Watkins, that's my father's name. So,
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
just I felt like that was everything kind of fell into place. It was giving me the universe was giving me permission to become the authentic person that I believe that I should be, or
Hmm.
the person that I feel inside.
Right.
So somewhat.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's an
Mhm.
interesting story. So, where did you grow up? During your childhood, what area were you from?
I'm from Compton, California.
Okay.
Born and raised all the way up until I basically I'm not gonna say started getting in trouble, but
Hmm.
a couple of years before I got in trouble, that's when I located somewhere else, but I was still my feet were still planted in Compton.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Compton, California, what was that like for you growing up? You know, I'm from Northern California. I know a lot about LA, but never actually visited there. Haven't spent no significant time there. But I interviewed a lot of people who are from the Los Angeles area. For you, growing up in Compton, California, what are some significant memories you have growing up and your childhood running around in the neighborhood and things like that?
First of all, I have to say, anybody who's not from Los Angeles, or especially if they're not from Compton,
Hmm.
they mix us in with LA. I'm not from LA.
Okay.
I mean, and you could tell when people are from Compton when you say, "Oh, that's LA." They'll say, "No, it's Compton." So,
Okay.
uh, that's something fun fact. But I grew up in a very loving home, single parent, big family.
Mm,
I'm the third youngest of nine, and you know, prior to the age 12, everything was just like it was. I didn't know we weren't broke.
mhm.
I didn't know we were poor. Because everything was just love. It was fun. We just enjoy life,
Yeah.
period. Wasn't no real definition of what sadness and all that stuff was, I guess. Grew up
Hmm.
in the church, uh, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. What would be some challenges that you can remember sticking out growing up in Compton, California? Maybe dealing with school, neighborhood, things like that, or just the community itself.
As I said, it was two different universes
Hmm.
after I became 12. After 12. Before 12, it was uh I considered myself um a very rich kid, mentally protected, and everything that kind of went with that. Um the thing that I longed was to have a solid, promising relationship with my father,
Mm.
which did never happen, even though he was in my life. But after 12, that's when life became something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apologize right now. My dog is on my lap and he snores a little bit.
Oh, it's okay.
So okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to let you know that. All right.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of hear you, I think, in what you're saying about the two different universes. Because like from my experience, growing up, it's weird that you say 12 because that was it for me as well. All the way up to 12 years old, I had a great, family life too. I remember Christmases. I remember little small things that made me happy. But yeah, 12 years old, life changed for me. I went through some serious trauma, something that I didn't understand. And then, I started lashing out and started getting into trouble. And it took me most of my life to figure out why my life changed during that time. So, for yourself, what was it like? I mean, if you're comfortable with speaking about it, what changed for you at 12 years old? Why did your life go to a different route?
Yeah. I have no issue with I'm very transparent. You can
Hmm.
ask me anything. Um, when I was 12, I was raped.
Hmm.
What happened this particular day, on the street that we lived on, one side of the street, like the north side of the street was all houses with lawns and the whole thing. The south side of the street were all apartments,
Mm.
right? So we hung out in the apartments more so. But if the apartments was a cut through, you cut through the apartments, you once you go through the apartments, it's an alleyway. You cut through the alley, and then it's a parking lot. You cut through the parking lot, and then the store was right there on the main block because I lived
Mm.
one block over from the main street, which was Compton Boulevard. So this one particular day, I was asked to go get some Kool-Aid from the store.
Mm.
And I went across the block, went across the street, and went in and successfully when I got the Kool-Aid and I was walking back. And a guy that I knew from the neighborhood, he was 15 at that particular time. I was a shorty. I was a really small kid. When he called me over, it was like right up under these apartment windows. He called me over and I went because he was a familiar face, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But once I went over there, I saw that he was a familiar stranger. Basically, he
Hmm.
threw me on the ground and he took advantage of my smallness, my innocence, and he took something very valuable from me. Um, when I say something very valuable, um, at that particular time, I didn't look at it like he took my virginity. He took my innocence,
Mm-hmm.
meaning I became somebody completely different from that point
Mm.
on.
Mm.
Um, if you want to hear the what transpired that same day was he wanted me to do oral copulation on him, and I convinced him that I would come back after I take the Kool-Aid home,
Right.
because I didn't want my brothers or my sisters to come looking for me, because I have 5 older brothers and at that particular time 2 older sisters. So when I convinced him, and when I got up and he let me go, I felt like I was smarter than him. Like, I ain't coming back, because I
Mm-hmm.
had to give myself some type of heroinism, like I was stronger than him,
Mm.
like that didn't just happen, because look at the outcome. I'm walking away and I'm not coming back. Nah, 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 you stupid, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But when I went home, I told my sister, who in turn called my mom, and she in turn called the police, and I ended up being at the hospital and them doing their whole thing. Um, if I could keep going on a little bit as far as this
Yes,
goes,
sir.
so you get a understanding of where my life, how my life shifted. Um, went to the hospital, and the whole CSI Law and Order thing took place.
Mm-hmm.
They came and did the swabs, and then they took me back to the police station and gave me pizza and Pepsi. And and people were coming in the room and asking different questions, and
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, I remember a big coat over me, like a police coat, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like over me, like it wrapped me up in protected me from the cold or the chill, whatever that case may be. I remember that,
Mm.
and they're making sure that I was in a good space. With my appetite, with my food intake and my drinking, and you have to go to the bathroom, and take your time, and they were protective, very protective of me,
Mm-hmm.
and do you know him? Yes, I do. And I did the whole little pick out the picture, and everything is going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You're all right. You're going to be okay. Just we got you, and doing all of that, and mid-morning, I'll say, it had to be after midnight, you know, um, you could take her home, she'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home and no one ever checked on me. They wrapped me in that coat, but nobody came and knocked on my door. Nobody called and said, "Hey, how's April?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, no conversation. The words of me being raped, or what happened that night, never hit anyone's ears from that night until 36 years later. No one. I
Wow.
mean, I told people in relationships, but I skipped past it. I was still the I was smarter than the rapist. So when I talked about it, it was like, yeah, I was raped before, but so don't call me a bitch no more, because da 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 da. It was more like that. Excuse me, I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but it was
No,
it was part of my introduction of who I was. Certain
mm-hmm.
things I'm not gonna take. Don't ever spit on me or call me a B. Da da da. So um because I equated being called that by somebody who supposedly I knew to total disrespect. So a stranger could call me that, but if somebody called me that, that was somebody who I knew, I'm going all bad, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Wow. First of all, you know, I want to say same. Yes, same. I went through the same thing at 12 years old. Little different, but pretty much the same. Me and my sister were both raped by our neighbors at the same time. I was 12, she was 10. And so I just want you to understand that I really sympathize with you. Unfortunately, for me, I spoke up, nothing happened, but I want to commend you. I wanted to say that you're very strong for going home and telling your sister, and your sister is a hero as well. You know, she went and told your mama. You know, that's the first thing I tell my kids too, you know, to always speak because I've been through it too. So I tell them to always be, you know, assertive and speak whatever is going on with you if you feel something, you know, someone wronged you or anything like that. So, you know, I commend you for that, and your sister as well, and your mom for taking you guys down to the police station. But man, what a terrible thing to go through at 12 years old. I really sympathize with you a lot.
just for a little clarity, my mom worked at the hospital.
Okay.
So they came and got me and took me to my mom. And so my mother met up with the police and myself in the hospital. And then
Right.
the police took us all to the police station. Just
Right.
kind of
Okay.
clarifying a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But good on all of you for speaking up. And that's what people need to do, you know, those of you who are watching. So to follow up with that, let me ask you this. What was it like, you know, as far as like dealing or coping with this type of trauma, you know, moving forward? How did it really affect your life? You know what I'm saying? Because you and I spoke about it before, and you mentioned to me that you responded trauma response, kind of, you know, you respond with trauma versus, you know, something different. Can you explain that a little more to those who are listening, and maybe they can understand what happens with this type of trauma?
Absolutely. I showed up after that. I showed up in my life as I have a secret. Nobody can find out because if they do, they are going to try me. So I became a persona. I became always said that not in a homosexual way. I always said that I got pushed on the grass as a little girl and I stood up a man, meaning I needed to be as toxic masculine as I possibly could because those were the images of fear, those were the images of respect, those were the images of no nonsense that I seen myself.
Hmm.
You know, they were the ones that the 12-year-old pre didn't trust and didn't, kind of feared. But post rape, I needed to be them. I felt like if anyone saw the blood in the water, I would be shark bait yet again.
Mm.
So I needed for them to see that even though my stature is small, my heart is big. Um, Even though my fists are tiny, uh, my weapons are big. Um, I have equalizers for everything. I needed to equalize my imagination of what could happen. So I needed to make sure that I was always equal to
Hmm.
whatever came. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It makes complete sense. You know, it took me a long time, being a victim of SA, to understand trauma response as well. You know, I'm learning a lot from just our conversation, but, you know, I think in the past few years, I've learned that I'm doing that as well to protect myself whenever I feel challenged or feel, you know, uncomfortable or anything like that. I resort to my anger or just being as scary as possible to people. Yeah, and it's something that's been very hard for me to deal with myself to stop doing that because in that I'll will ruin my relationship, I'll ruin friendships, I'll ruin just things so I don't be put in an uncomfortable space. And yeah,
Mhm.
that's something that's very hard to work with. So with you, how did you like really start to kind of change that or maybe find some type of balance? Or if you have, how long did that take? And, what were the steps that you made in order to figure this out and kind of like really live with it? Because it never really goes away, right?
Um, it is sometimes I'm a poet.
Mm,
So my words mean a lot to me. So if I hesitate, I'm trying to put things in the right context. It is like that scar on your knee that you know you have.
mhm,
Like I got a scar on my knee from I remember when I was skating. I know that that scar is there when I look down and I know that it's there, but that scar doesn't hurt no more.
mm,
It's just there.
mhm.
It's there, and it gives me that memory of what happened. But now that I see it's closed and the wound is no longer there, but the it's not open and it's not oozing. It's not needing all of my attention
Mm,
because it healed, but the scar is still there.
mhm.
That's the way I look at it. I It took me a long time though. It took me an awful long time to say I forgive him. Um
Mm,
I did 28 years in prison behind me being through on that grass. Um Not because I revenged what transpired that night. It was because I took April and I put April in a closet inside of the body of Bo Peep, and I became Bo Peep, and I just went out and became the hurt that I was. Where they
yeah,
say hurt people,
yeah,
and I became a representative of don't fuck with her.
yeah. Mm,
And it took me, as I said, 36 years to really start looking and retracing my steps and going back and understanding that I am not my scar.
mm,
That scar happened to me. And in order for me to heal completely, I had to know that that scar was there, but that scar is not making me where I can't walk.
mm,
I have to continue to make my steps.
right.
I'm not saying forgetting the scar, but understanding that that does not require all of my attention. Now, what I do is I travel around and I tell people how to tend to that scar,
Mhm,
how to get that healing from that scar, how to know that the scar is significant, but it's not. It is a scar on your knee. Don't make your whole body a scar because
right.
of what happened to your knee. So it's a healing process. And that's what I do. I mean, I've traveled all around talking about unresolved traumas because those of us who have been, excuse me, I don't know, SA, um, those of us who have been under SA or whatever grooming or taken advantage of as kids or even whatever it is, bullying, whatever it is
Mhm,
that took place in our lives as youngsters, if it is not resolved, if we cannot get where we understand that it's a scar, but it is not running our whole life,
mhm.
we get to that place, because sometimes it takes a searching, fearless moral inventory to understand that. It takes us to go dive deep into that to understand it. Once we get into that place, we'll see. But also, as I was starting to say, is if you have if a person have dealt have went through any type of trauma and never worked on it, it
Hmm.
shows up.
Yes.
I don't care if it was their mother worked all the time and they never got them hugs. Uh, if it was um being bullied in school, if it was, our kids played, you got a big family be like, shut up, you was adopted.
Hmm.
Just playing that doesn't game, even though that may not have been true. Them are traumas,
Yeah.
and they show up in different ways where a person can, from being that, because I remember my brothers and sisters used to say, shut up with your big eyes. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I made myself start wearing glasses, because I always kept glasses on because I felt like I had the ugliest eyes in the world.
Hmm.
And when somebody told me my eyes are hazel, like they kind of switch up a little bit. Um, when somebody told me I had pretty eyes, I was insulted. I felt
Mm.
like they was being funny, trying to clown me in front of people. So I'm saying all that to say things show up in different ways
Hmm.
from these childhood traumas.
Right.
And I recall I was speaking to someone, and I said the victim of the victim. And I was talking about the incarcerated population. I called them the victims of, I called them the people that they harmed, the victims of the victim.
Hmm.
And he was like, that's an oxymoron. I said, everybody in prison have been harmed in some
Yeah.
kind of way. And they dealt with it with the best information that they had at that particular time. And this person said, well, I was bullied in school my whole life, and I never harmed anybody.
Hmm.
I said, that's not true. Cheated on your wife, which meant you divorced your children. You left your children abandoned. You were working. You were not being at home the way you should. So now your kids have trauma.
Mm.
Just because blood shed does not mean people are not harmed.
Right.
So um, it's a, it's, it's sometimes it's like carbon monoxide. Just because you don't smell it doesn't mean it's not in the room.
Real shit. Yeah.
Right.
And I just want to reiterate what you said about that scar on your knee. I understand completely what you're saying. I'm able to tell people, like, as I speak with people with trauma too, I'm able to tell them the same, like what you're saying, like that situation that happened to you, it happened to you. It wasn't something you asked for. So it's not, it shouldn't dictate who you are. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like I really feel that, but it's something that I need to internalize within myself as well, because I'm still working on healing the traumas. And with the whole thing of being out here and going through, this essay, the reason why we say essay is because the R word gets us flagged on YouTube, by the way.
YouTube, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So going around talking with these people who have been SA, they don't realize that though. Like it seems to me when I'm speaking to someone and within myself, it feels like something that's never going to go away, right? It feels like something that's just always there. But when you talk about you're healed and that it's a scab and you recognize it there, so it's no longer having that same effect on you, you're not putting that same energy into it that you did before. That is something that's very hard for someone like me to see. I don't know why, you know, but I've been thinking about what me and you spoke about last week, how you told me about getting rid of the spoiled milk and putting fresh milk in. So I have been talking a lot, to my family about my childhood and things like that. And it's an uncomfortable conversation, but I feel like what you're saying really helped me because I am getting that spoiled milk out. But what would be the next steps from that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would I do from there to
Right.
continue maintaining that process so that I don't backslide, so that I don't go back into that depression or feeling that scab is more of my covering my whole body, you know?
Right. Dig it. I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was going to say, first of all, when we talked about the spoiled milk, us being um, the spoiled milk being this toxic thing that we have inside of us. First of all, we have to be strong enough to take the top off, to open up. You know what I mean?
Correct.
In order for us to get that out. Um, Number one, it was to me, it was basically three steps that I had to do, right? For me to recognize and understand that I am not, I am not what happened to me. I am a reflection of some of the things, but the reflection is only when you're in the mirror.
Mhm.
But I can move past. First of all, I had to ask myself as I started digging in, and it took a process, as I said. Who taught this 15-year-old boy to do this to me?
Mhm.
Where he get that from? Because I said I was never going to forgive him, ever. Then when you ask yourself, how did he know to do this to me? He's 15. He's 3 years older than me. Learned behavior. So he was a victim and I was his victim. Does that make sense? So I had to understand that, first of all, it's a cycle of things that happen. So if he was a victim, why would I hold hate in my heart for him? Because he suffered as I did. And sometimes it takes that maturity in your head to get to that, right?
Yeah.
Uh and these are not in no particular steps, just saying the things that I had to do. But number one was I had to get the spoiled milk. I had to start get the strength to take the top off and pour a little bit at a time. I couldn't dump my whole bottle. I had to
Mhm.
pour a little bit at a time because the trust factor. The
Right,
how
right.
how are they going to see me? Oh
Yeah.
my God, they might think that I'm this. You know, or for men, I could truly, uh, you know, what society say is a real man, and for you to even speak on that, sometimes it's like, oh no, you must not be. But it's understanding that this is better out than in. It's just harming me. It's just harming me. Number two, in this order, open up. Number two is have a conversation with that little person that's inside of you.
Mhm.
There's no blame. You cannot honor who you are by blaming. It's not your fault. I don't care. I don't care how big you believed you were. Because I'm quite sure, Ron, you're saying, dang, I should have did this. I should have did this.
Yeah.
You're blaming yourself for something that it was not in your control. I don't care how big you think you are. Because for people to do these things, they have been groomed and sharpened, and they are, what's the word? They are witty.
Mhm.
So don't blame yourself for that. One of the things that I do is when I go around and I speak, in order for you to kind of understand what's going on inside of you, I believe I told you this before, I'm not sure. Write a letter
Mhm.
to that person. Write a letter to little Ron as your
Okay.
adult self. Write a letter to whoever's watching this. Write a letter to that harmed individual that's inside of us. Whatever it takes you to, write a letter to them,
Mhm.
right? From you to you, from your adult you to the, and I guarantee you 99 times out of 100, it's going to be an apology.
Mm. Uh,
Then just write that letter up. And a week later, 1 week later, Respond to that letter with your least dominant hand.
Okay.
Respond to that letter with your least dominant hand. I promise you, things are going to happen. If you put yourself in that space and you do that, promise you, the words are going to be so different than what you think.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
what gave me the strength to move past. When I wrote that letter to April, and just April, I'm sorry, I should have stood up for you, taking all these blames, and maybe we shouldn't have went, and whatever the letter was saying, and then the apologies for harming and tucking you in this closet and not letting you breathe, and me harming you even more by putting you in this closet and never really checking on you because I became somebody else that was trying to protect you so much. It was like I had grabbed a butterfly. I caught a butterfly and I put it in my hand, and it was so beautiful, and I just wanted to hold on to it. You open up your hand, the butterfly is dead because I done choked it out
Mm.
by just trying to protect it. The bee is trying to get you, this type of thing. But when I end up writing that letter with my left hand, that response, it works a whole nother side of your brain. When I first did it, I kept saying, I can't write with my left hand. I was having all these different excuses as to what it felt childish, it felt silly, but it gave me answers.
Hmm.
Please just try it. Try it with the intent of moving past this. Not, let me see if this shit gonna work.
Yeah.
Not that,
Yeah.
you know? Try. When I wrote that letter, because without thinking, I just let it go. And I just wrote. It was the sloppiest thing I've ever did. I let it go.
Mm.
And when I finished and I picked it up and I read it with my other side of my brain, it made sense.
Oh.
That's when I felt freedom at that moment. I have people right now where it's one particular person. I have other people, but I have one particular person who is a psychologist that have did this exercise, and she has me mentoring her. She
Wow.
said when she did this exercise, it changed her life. It allowed her to let go and to breathe life into that little girl where they can coexist.
Mm.
And I'm a challenge. I'm challenging everybody. Just try it. Try
Definitely.
it
Yeah.
in your whole self. Have your sister tell her, try it.
I
It,
will.
it ain't gonna hurt nothing. Try it. I
Mm.
promise you, if you doing it within, it's just like getting on your knees and praying.
Hmm.
Not standing up and praying. Getting on your knees and praying. It's like that. When you get on your knees, you're bowing. You're letting go of ego when you have that prayer. When you're standing up and praying, you be like, and then God, doing all these different things. But when you put yourself in another state of mind where you're really trying to receive an answer,
With intention.
that's how
Yeah.
you that's how you write it. With
Hmm.
intention, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say thank you for that because I'm definitely tired. And I'm sure a lot of you that are listening to this podcast, this interview with April, April is dropping fucking diamonds. And, I'm definitely going to try this practice out. Um, and
Please.
those of you that are tired, like I am, I recommend you try it out as well. Let me know. Let us know in the comments. Come back and let us know what happened. Thank you so much, April. I don't want to stay too long on that. I mean, I've kept you so long. I want to move on a little bit and speak to you about some of the factors that led up to the incarceration that you just mentioned not too long ago. So, can you share with us what led up to the incarceration? I mean, I know, we talked about the traumas and everything, responding with the traumas, but if you mind telling us what led up to your incarceration, how did you end up there?
Okay, first of all, no was not in my vocabulary. Felt like if I said no, it would be like I'm weak. Um, what led up to it? From 12 years old, after that happened, I started hanging out with the adopted family across the street in the same apartments. And that's when uh, I started believing having money, have power, have
Mhm.
money, have respect, and things of that nature. So I lived, I became Bo Peep, and I lived that period. Like I was one of the, not one of, I was the first female in my neighborhood, gangbanging. I had to be rougher than the dudes. That was for my hood. I had to make a name for myself, and that's what I did. I needed people to know, don't mess with me. So I never said no. If it was,
Mhm.
hey, you want to go get? Yes, let's roll. Let's do this. So I end up selling drugs first and foremost, and I got in trouble a couple of times at that time. And let me slide back a little bit. When I was like 15, them same police officers, I'm on my block, same Compton Police Department, coming, putting their foot on my neck and dragging me and taking me into the old neighborhood, different neighborhoods, and dropping me off and robbing me and things like that. And I'm like, as I got older and I really started seeing, it was like, y'all don't remember my name? My name
Mhm.
was never on nothing. Oh, I'm the bad kid 3 years later,
Mhm.
right? So, um, you know, uh, it's crazy. It's really crazy. But just wanted to say that, you
Mhm.
know, the transformation of people is like people just see, oh, they bad, And I'm sorry for jumping all over this place, but people need to know, like these kids that's going up in these schools doing these school shootings, or these kids that's doing. Everybody seen something transpire. Everybody seen that kid change. Nobody said nothing. No one said, "Hey, come here, Jimmy," or "Come here, April. You okay?"
Mm.
But instead, it's like, no, you know what? He just bad. No,
Yeah.
that ain't what happened. Ron, I guarantee you, all of a sudden people said, Ron show been acting crazy. He's so bad now. But nobody said, Ron, are you okay? What's going
Mhm.
on?
Mhm.
You know how much stuff, you know how many times we didn't we would have been cushioned from going to prison if somebody said, are you okay? Because you seem different. But instead, and they say it's a village, it takes a village, but everybody head is down. And you only get the attention and when you're bad and you need to be punished. Come here, let me whoop you.
Mhm.
Right? I'm sorry. I had to go on that little tangent. But
Real
that's what
talk.
happens, right?
Yeah.
When somebody shoot up a school, everybody on the camera when the news come and say, yeah, and then I know all of a sudden he was bad. He just became, no, it's because y'all ignored it.
Mm.
These kids went through some stuff. And the only thing it took for somebody to say, hey, you okay? So you guys, if y'all see people whose lives is changing, just ask them how they doing. Just do
Real
that.
talk.
But right. But so anyway, on one particular night, I rode out with a couple of guys that I knew where I didn't say no, and I dropped my girlfriend's kids off at their grandmother's house, and said I'll be back this weekend. It was like on a Thursday, and I didn't come back for 28 years. Um, and I lived in that. I lived in my mess. I lived in it. And I grew big in it to hide the little lady that was inside of me.
Mm. Wow. Man, I
Yeah.
hear myself a lot in your story. The way you tell it, it just explains so much of my life. And I just really am enjoying this. And I feel like we don't have enough time to cover everything. You're just dropping so many diamonds, and just I feel a little selfish right now because I'm really feel like I'm doing this for myself. To be honest with you, April, because you're giving so much, and you're just killing me right
No, we
now.
good. We good.
All right. So, you know, with the prison and all, you know, you explained to us how you got there. What a crazy situation. And we know how it all led up to, you know, this behavior and this type of life. So, can you tell us a little more about what was going on in prison, like as far as like your experiences during your time and significant challenges that were that arose during that 28 years or so that you had, that you remember, that come back to mind right now?
Um, I think that I needed to, as I said before, with the glasses, my eyes, when they talked about my eyes being that my self-esteem was so low.
Hmm.
I needed everybody to like me, you know. And the women's prison is different. Um, if you interview anybody who's did time with me, um, when I was the boat people, I was like the most wanted, the most standoutish, this person that, I was still longing for acceptance and the power in a sense, you know.
Hmm.
Um, of course I gang bang some, but it wasn't as significant inside like that. But I was more of I had all the girls. I basically, and it was still me. It was still part of toxic masculinity, right?
Hmm.
Internalized toxic masculinity. When I was on the streets, it was about the violence. It's three characteristics that society say makes a man, or that we who are internalized toxic masculinity,
Hmm.
we feel like it's three categories of a person that you have to be. You have to be violent, have money, and have girls. Inside of having money was, you get that when you have the girls and the power. So it's still the three things. So I just kind of transformed that over into the prison system. Still searching, and which made it rough because who doesn't want to own the head of the cartel? Who
Hmm.
doesn't want to own the head of the person that claims to be everybody, the whole thing? So my persona, the person that I was, it became the fall guy of a whole lot of different things, I believe. So um prison was it was a joke. It was just like another part of an extension of being on the streets. Because I was still hiding who I really was.
Hmm.
I'll say, you know, um, a lot of the men staff hated me.
Hmm.
A lot of the butchy females didn't like me, but a lot of them did. It was just like it's a blur in a sense. It was just like, it was chaotic. In my own head, it was just chaotic. My whole life was just chaotic. It was prison was fun, but it was hard. It
Yeah.
was this, but it was that. It was all these different things. It was chaotic. And it's a beautiful thing that I'm able to say it like that right now, because
Yeah.
this is my first time defining what prison was. Chaotic.
Mm.
Even through the fun, even through the rough,
Yeah.
it was chaotic. But
I could
it
see
blended
that.
in. Yeah, it blended in perfectly for me because I was chaotic in my own head.
I get
Right.
it.
That was the best way I could possibly put it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for sure.
Right. I don't want to glorify the prison. Being away from my family was hard. It was hard. But being away from April was harder.
Ooh, yeah,
So I
yeah.
adopted. I adapted like I
Mm,
did on the street. I adopted the family across the street. In prison, I adapted to the family lifestyle inside. And
wow.
by which all means, you know, um, yes.
I think you put it perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
Truly
That's my
understand.
that's my first time And I'm thanking God that I'm able to look at it like that because I never,
Yeah.
this is my first time opening my mouth and saying that. And it
Mm.
makes, that's my perfect definition.
Yes. Makes complete sense. Um, well, with that, then can you share with us about maybe someone, or whether it was a cellmate, counselor, officer, or a particular group? I mean, you mentioned you hung out with the Usos in prison. Is there any significant, like, support from these people or anyone in there that you received while you were incarcerated, that really stands out to you?
Um, okay, I'm gonna give you two.
Sure.
Um, what changed my life was I got into this group that was called Vogue. It's Victim Offender Education. And I ran to that group because I got caught with a cell phone and I was like, oh my God, here we go with more write-ups. So I ran to the group to try to counterbalance good paperwork with bad paper,
Okay.
because I had a big amount of disciplinary actions, infractions. So when I tried to get in this group, you had to basically audition or interview for a group in prison. And I'm like, what? I was not one of the upper echelon inmates. I was a convict trying to be slick as hell. So I was like, why not? Let me just go for it. I did
Mm.
not think that I was going to make it. I was chosen.
Mm.
Uh, in that group, Ron, I promise you, man, I would always feel like I was less than because I was in the class with people that was in college and all this. And I was the person that was doing sound systems in the auditorium and showing movies and taking pictures. I was that person. So in the class, I would always feel like I was not doing the work that I should be doing. I wasn't doing it right. I was beating myself up, and very emotional. So the lady name was Sue Rath, Reiff. She was a nun, bro, like a nun, like uh Sister Act, a nun, a real nun, right? And she didn't wear the clothes like that. It was her and a father. And they didn't dress like that, but they was coming in and it was the one leading the class. But she was like the Barbara Walters of she was the one that asked you questions and you'd be like, why am I crying like this?
Mm.
And the group is only 12 people. The class went from your very first thought you can remember, all the way up to today, type of thing. That's what the class was about. Figuring out who you were, why you did the things that you did, and that kind of stuff. Made you really search yourself. So we was in there a couple of months. She said, what was something that you wanted as a kid that you never got? I'm in there, I got dreadlocks down to my ass, hat turned backwards, sagging, states, crispy, all that. And I broke out and started crying and said, a party like Cindy Brady.
Hmm.
That wasn't me talking. That was, I opened that bottle with that spoiled milk,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the scream that came out from that milk that was that little girl. When I said that, and man, after I said that, I was crying in there every week. I was pouring that milk out
Pouring it out.
every week. And I didn't care what people thought about me. That's where I became where I did not care how people saw me anymore because I was finally becoming who I was.
Mm.
I was finally being organic, authentic. I was finally recognizing the person God meant me to be. And every week I dump some. So I give her that. That's who opened me up. That's the first time I talked about my essay. First time in that
Mm.
class. Then
Wow.
another person that was inside that was influential. I got more than that, but Somebody else who was influential to me, and you interviewed her, man. Eleanor,
Mm.
Ellie. Um, I didn't even know her that long, but we share conversations. We worked in the same area. Her energy is just that's a beautiful person. Whether if you guys ever looked at her or seen her, whatever, and I'm not talking about physically, her energy was, and she was like, she just started calling me in-law, and me
Hmm.
and her just rocked it. And when people, I've had people that was the ones who never got in trouble, and they looked, they was, hey, you know what, you can do better, da da da. But to see somebody who was like an equal, and me and them just spending time, I long to see her. I
Hmm.
long to have conversations because we just fed each other's spirit in a sense, you know what I mean? And it's my family, man. That was my folks. So um even now it's like when I reach out, and if Ellie say I'm gonna call you at 11, I'm sitting there like and watch this clock. Because it's, you got some people that
Yeah.
that the conversation is just going to be it's just going to be something to take in. And
Hmm.
I really, that was something, I could name some more people, like um Marilyn Baker, she always called me on my stuff. Now she's over Project Rebound of Cal State Fullerton, got all these master degrees
Hmm.
and all this different stuff. And she'll say, "Shit, stop crying and go get your shit together.
Mm.
Take a chance. Go write a book. Get in college." She pushed me. She said, "You know what? Figure out something that you want to do and go to school." So I'm proudly able to say I just graduated last month, man. I am an independent forensic gang expert from
Wow.
Loyola Law School. So, and these were people that
That's
I
what I'm
did
talking
time with.
about. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, um, it's a lot of amazing people, man.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I'm a mansion, and a lot of people put some bricks in it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And I appreciate you sharing those pivotal moments sometimes, and those experiences that you received in there in prison, and these wonderful people that took the time to come out and help you, those groups that you mentioned, and someone like Ellie as well, who has been through the struggles and been through that, was willing to open up. I appreciate people like you. If it wasn't for people like Eleanor, people like you, and those who come visit the prisons and things like that, we wouldn't be making these long strides to, healing and understanding and
Right.
changing the whole outlook on prison period and incarcerated people. So the work you guys do is just amazing, and I'm really, really happy to hear it. Unfortunately for us men that went to prison, we didn't have those programs back in the days, and and that's but by design, of course. They wanted us to stay in there, but I wish I had those type of support groups coming in. I was lucky to have my wife and daughter visiting me almost the whole time I was locked up. So, things like that, support groups or people in your life that just make these impacts on your life and these pivotal moments, man, they just to be cherished. And those people are to be cherished. So thank you for sharing that with us, April.
No,
Um,
right.
so when you look back on these lessons you learned during your time in prison that shaped your approach to life, how did these experiences in prison shape your approach out here in the free world? Coming out here, do you use some of those lessons that you took in there? I'm sure you do, but how did they apply to the free world out here in your life?
Um, I'll say one of my things is courage. I went to board 9 times.
Hmm.
Um, I went in front of a panel that told me that I wasn't good enough. That until you recognize that you ain't shit and we're helping you, you'll never be such. So courage s- to be able to say what it is that I need. That's one of the things that something that's basically is hard for people. it was really hard for me as well to name what it is that I need in order for me to push forward. Um, being a voice. I have been going back and back into the prison since I was out 6 months.
Hmm.
My work, I drive to Chowchilla or I fly. I ride trains, planes, and automobiles every week
Hmm.
to go to CCWF every week. Um, it me coming out here, it made me understand that it's still some more work to do. Um, I can't just leave my people behind. I got some secrets to tell them. I got the remedy. I got the formula to get you out.
Yeah.
You know, and by the grace of God, excuse me, excuse me, I have did one-on-ones and help people get up out of there. Lifers and how to explain 115s and things like that. So it's like the information that I got in there mixed with the information that I'm getting out here. I got a beautiful gumbo going on, and I'm able to feed, a lot of people with this information, you know, um, with this spiritual food, with this
Hmm.
knowledgeable food. And I take it in there and I bring it out here. I just started my own program, where called Uncovering Flowers,
Hmm.
where I to help unresolved traumas and things like that. So um it shows up. I basically with the answer is it just shows up in my work. The what you asked, the information, the things that I got in there and how they steer my life now. I'm courageous now. Um,
Hmm.
it was nothing, it's nothing out here as hard as it is in there. Nothing. The pay, I mean, you know, going from check to check, it could be in your ego a little bit, but my worst day out here is better than my best day inside,
Right.
So yeah.
So, looking ahead, what do what are your hopes and aspirations as far as like, the future, personally in terms of your advocacy efforts?
In my personal life,
Hmm.
writing my book, I'm finishing up my book. I'm doing a one woman play. I'm finishing up my one
Mm.
woman play. Uh, I'm a performer, man. I'm an
That's
actor.
right. That's right.
So, and then also I just completed my curriculum and proposal for my own program that I'm hoping that I can get contracted out independently just to different, be it households,
Wow.
wherever it is, doing personal one-on-ones, or families and um, wherever it's
Hmm.
needed. As I said, it's called Uncovering Flowers. It's looking at things in uh, approaching and healing harms and traumas that we have been through
Hmm.
in different arts, in writings and different exercises. So that's what I'm hoping will be my legacy, basically.
Hmm.
Me being able to assist in whichever way I can with people getting past harms, but also, making livable um wages doing so, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and that's what I'm looking to do.
Hmm.
Am I trying to be famous? I don't know what that looks like. Am I trying to be my homie? Yes.
Yeah.
I want people to say, "Oh, yeah, Blue helped me get past this," or
Yeah.
Blue, pointed me in the direction to look at things this way. Blue invited me to look at myself in this kind of way. That's what I want to
Hmm.
be known as. If that's the
Well,
fame that comes with it, I'm cool with that.
you definitely doing it. You definitely doing it with me, and I believe you're definitely going to do it with our listeners here for sure. So What would you have to say to anybody right now, like a message maybe, you want to share with the individuals out there that are listening, who may be going through similar challenges, in life that you've experienced? We covered so much, but, if you do have maybe a final message for them, to, help them going through their struggles and maybe similar experiences that you have gone through, um, in your life.
Uh, First off, I want to say something that I'm quite sure I've learned that we really don't hear much. And this is to everybody. This is to myself, to you, it's to everybody who can hear it. It's nobody better than us. You heard me, right?
Yeah.
It's nobody better than us. Stop comparing. We are worthy. We're worthy to live our best life, man. We're worthy to be whoever it is that we want to be. We could be healed. We could be overcomers. We could be whatever our to be is to for us to be. We could do that. Um, do not continue to handcuff ourselves to the negative in our lives. Um, I know it's scary. It's a journey that we have to be courageous to do, and we are.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm gonna give this open invitation. If anybody needs that, people run the marathons when people on the side and they're giving you water and they're giving you oranges. Anybody needs some oranges or some water, they can holler at me. I
Yeah,
got you.
definitely.
I got you. I can't run your race for you, but I can tell you how to tie up your shoes. You know what I'm saying? I can hand you some water to hydrate you. I'll give you slices of oranges for your journey. I'm here for you.
Hmm.
You know, custom made just for you.
That's right. That's right. And where
Right.
could people find you? Blue Ink. Where could they find Blue Ink at?
I have on my Instagram. I haven't really been on there as much as I should,
Uh huh.
but Instagram, I am Blue Ink. My Facebook is WEGONEGUD. We gonna be good. That's me.
That's right. And we're
So
gonna have it
I'm
down there for you guys.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to transfer that. And I don't know how big it is if I could throw my number in there, man, because I'm a personal person.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Go-
a personal person. If you
Shoot.
guys want it, you need it,
Yeah.
let's go.
That's right.
I am 213-760-4364.
That's right. You guys heard it here. If you need to holler at April, Blue Ink here, holler at her, man. Dropping diamonds. And I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I sure did. I learned a lot. And I just want to say thank you, April, for
No problem.
taking the time out of your day to share this wisdom, to share your experiences with us. It really meant a lot. And I am a big fan of yours now. I want to see more work of yours. So we'll definitely keep in touch. And anything that you're doing, if you think that I could help or anything like that, please don't be shy to holler. I'm willing to help. If you want to come back on and speak again, you're more than welcome. Your
I'm gonna leave the
family,
door open anytime you
family
want.
here.
Anytime you want me, I got you.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm open for speaking engagements. As I said, one-on-ones, families, whatever the case may be. I did some psychology classes and all this kind of stuff. So, whatever way.
Mhm.
Once my one woman play come out, I'm praying to have it. Us being in performance on June 29th this year, which will
Mhm.
be my 7-year anniversary from me being home. I will let you guys know. I will let you know about the book. Maybe we can get on right before all of this stuff
Yeah, yeah,
happens and we can promote this. But
that'd be great
yeah,
for sure.
no problem.
Thanks again, April, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close this out?
Yeah. Just saying that I'm open, I'm here, and I'm a vessel, man. I'm a servant. I'm just
Mhm.
just here to leave my mark, man. My dash. I want my dash to mean something. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Contact me.
Much appreciated. We love you and support you, April. Thank you again. And we'll talk soon. And y'all know what it is. Stay the fuck out of trouble.
All day. Peace.